We begin this morning with, we're going to chat with Jeff Wolfe. Jeff is the founder and CEO of Grow Solar. His name may sound familiar to you. There was a bit of controversy last week when Jeff wrote a letter to the Senate President Pro Tem John Campbell, in which he expressed his surprise and displeasure with Senator Campbell supporting a particular piece of legislation that's going to be voted on today. This legislation started out as a proposal for a moratorium on wind project development on ridgelines here in Vermont. It has been greatly diluted in the weeks that have followed. Last week, it appeared as though projects like the one in Sheffield and a few others would come under Act 250 review. This has actually been watered down even further, according to John Walters over at Green Mountain Daily, to the point where it really is directing the Public Service Board to use Act 250 criteria. So it's, as I say, it's a bill that started out as a moratorium and it has now evolved into something else. Senator Campbell supported the idea of a moratorium, and Jeff Wolfe was opposed to it. Let me just read a couple of paragraphs in the letter that he wrote to Senator Campbell, and then we're going to chat with him about it. And he points out his role in the renewable energy field here in Vermont. He says to Senator Campbell, if you support this bill, not only does that support end, but I will help recruit and support opposition to you in the next election and will put my money where my mouth is. Later in the letter, he said, John, I've supported you for a lot of races, but if you support this bill, not only does that support end, but I will help recruit and support opposition to you in the next election and will put my money where my mouth is. I'm not a single issue voter, but this one bill, because it sets back action on climate change, affects almost every issue I care about: middle class prosperity, human health, environmental health, recreation, and all are negatively affected by this bill. Senator Campbell took this as a letter that was threatening. I asked him why he reacted the way he did to the letter when we spoke with him on the program on Friday. The term bullying came up in the course of our conversation, so let me share with you what he had to say about this on Friday. I was interested, John, that you postponed the vote in part because of a letter that you got from the head of Grow Solar, who really went after you on this issue and said that he was going to work to try to defeat you politically. So I guess I'm wondering why you took that letter as threatening and bullying.
Well, I think all you have to do, Mark, is read the letter.
I have.
Yeah, and let me just say this, first of all. It's not that if I had received that letter, that email, and it was personal, and I did not release this to anybody. Unfortunately, a friend of the gentleman who wrote the letter was the one who released the letter. From my understanding is he went to Vermont Digger and provided them with the letter, and there it became public. So it's the same situation actually as we faced last year when somebody says that if you vote, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me, but it was if you support S30, which is the wind bill, if you support that, then I will do everything in my power to, financially make sure that you are not elected, or to go out and actually seek somebody to run against you, which is fine. I mean, anybody can do that. But the fact of the matter is, here is an individual who is threatening to do something if I don't vote a certain way. And if I had not voted, if I had just stayed up on the podium, because I was on the podium that day when the bill would have come up, it would have looked like I succumbed to those threats. And I cannot do that. I don't think it's not even me. It's really the whole legislature itself. When one of us get threatened, all of us are threatened. And it was kind of amazing. I've had actually a group from the House members, that there were like about 25 people came up to me in one of the rooms, and it was a tripartisan group. It was progressives, it was Republicans and Democrats, and said, listen, we really are offended by what happened. We appreciate the fact that you took the stand, and what can we do?
The comments Friday, some of the comments of Senator John Campbell. Let's give a nice from Radio Vermont. Welcome this morning to Jeff Wolfe of Grow Solar. Jeff, thank you for joining us. How are you this morning?
Well, very good, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
So did you intend this?
I do want to make one correction. I'm chairman now of Grow Solar. I stepped down as CEO last June.
Okay. All right. Thank you for correcting me on that. Did you intend this letter to be threatening?
Yeah, no. I guess it depends on how you define that. But am I threatening to have an election where John Campbell might lose his seat? I guess I'm promising I would do that. This isn't a physical or some kind of a threat that backroom threat that would try to intimidate him. It's just making my stance really, really clear. It's stating what I believe.
What was your point though with the letter then?
My point was to show the senator and to show others, and I released this letter publicly. I put it on my Facebook page. I actually put it on Senator Campbell's Facebook page, and I believe it still resides there. So I released this letter very publicly, and it was to show and to throw my strong support as a thought leader in the renewable energy industry behind defeating this bill. It is a bad bill, and it remains a bad bill. It's been changed and morphed and such, but it remains a bad bill.
Why do you say it remains a bad bill? It seems as though it's been really diluted.
They're attempting to dilute it, but knowing what I know about the Public Service Board and how they operate, they're being asked now to review wind projects under Act 250 criteria. Well, for the Public Service Board to review under any criteria, what they normally do is they hold hearings to establish what are the rules and procedures that they use to review under a certain set of criteria. So if we introduce a new set of criteria, an Act 250 criteria would be a complex set of criteria to introduce, they're going to need to hold hearings and create rules and process. And then when they start to hold hearings under those rules and process, there will be no precedent in front of the Public Service Board, and precedent in front of the Environmental Review Boards won't carry because it's a different body. And so you're developing a whole new process here. Now, if there's a problem with the Section 248 review process, why don't we just fix that under the existing statutes? Tweak that. This is still an attempt to greatly burden and to burden renewable energy projects with more regulation in Vermont than anything else we build in the state. Big box stores, $500 million resorts in Burke, etc. And that's not what we should be doing.
Our numbers on the program, 244-1777 is our local number, toll-free 877-291-8255. Jeff, why did you started the letter saying that you were astonished to hear that Senator Campbell personally supported the bill. Why were you astonished about that?
I started Grow Solar in 1998, and Senator Campbell has been in the Senate for much of that time. And Grow Solar, while I don't actually live in Senator Campbell's district, Grow Solar has been in Senator Campbell's district since 2003. And we created a lot of jobs, and we did a lot of good for the state of Vermont in his district. And he was happy to kind of quietly take credit for that. He never once voiced any concern to me about any aspect of solar power or wind power. Never once. And we certainly had ample opportunities when we saw each other at events and such. And so for him to come out so strongly against everything I've worked for, and against everything a lot of Vermonters worked for, just astonishing.
Why did you decide to release the letter publicly?
There's too much backroom dealing, Mark. People like to have things said quietly in the back corners so that everybody can deny it was said and they can go on about their business. Well, I feel very strongly about this. I'm not ashamed or afraid to have my opinion known. And I don't think that senators or representatives should be ashamed or afraid to have their opinions known and to voice why they are taking a particular stance. And I think it's important on renewable energy. The significant majority of the state supports all renewable energy. Our state energy plan is directing us to install very great quantities of renewable energy. And I think that if a senator or representative doesn't support that, we should know really precisely why and who.
He certainly at one point used the term threatening in the course of the interview. I asked him if why he referred to it as bullying, which he did in previous interviews. So, what's your reaction to him feeling that this is bullying?
Yeah, it's something that I take very seriously, and it actually caused me to take a step back and question myself as to whether or not this bullying, because, as you well know, bullying is an extremely serious issue in America, Vermont, and all of America today, and something we need to take seriously. And so I actually reached out to a friend put me in contact with Emily Basil, senior editor of Slate, and a woman who's just published a new book, Sticks and Stones, on bullying. And this isn't a plug or endorsement because I don't get anything out of it. But I reached out to her as an authority on bullying and said, is this letter, and I shared the letter with her, is this letter bullying? And she said very clearly, no, it is not. Not close. So I think it's very bad and dangerous for Senator Campbell to portray this as bullying, because when we try and portray something as bullying that is not bullying, it diminishes the term bullying. And I think that's very bad in our fight against bullying. So I think it's a poor political choice for Senator Campbell to sort of maybe even intimidate me or try to intimidate me by his choice of words there. And I think it's a very poor choice of words and not true.
One of the things I think it's a little it's of interest to me is why you care so much about this bill, because its focus seems to be more on wind projects and solar projects, where the animosity of the public seems to be more towards wind projects and solar projects.
Yeah, I very much have done a lot of solar in my career and very little wind, and the wind I've done is small wind. We have a small wind turbine in our side yard. But I am at core a renewable energy guy, and at core a climate change person. I care deeply about our planet. I care deeply about Vermont's environment. I care deeply about the world my grandchild is growing up in. And so while I have focused my career on solar energy, I strongly support other renewable energy as well. And wind and solar, it turns out, together can be a very, very significant part of the solution to our energy problems. So when you attack wind, you attack renewables. Additionally, the bill actually does attack solar energy as well. Any project over 2.2 megawatts of solar is being treated the same as any large wind project. And I've also heard third hand that, which may not be totally reliable, but is a very reliable source, as reporters say, that Senator Campbell very much dislikes the view of solar and is purposely attacking them as well.
Jeff Wolfe is the founder and chairman of Grow Solar. If you have any questions, he's joining us for another couple of minutes at 244-1777 is our local number, toll-free 877-291-8255. Is there anything in this letter that you would, in retrospect and with the value of 20/20 hindsight, take out?
Fundamentally, no. If there was anything, it might be to take the phrase out and put my money where my mouth is, not because I won't, not because I don't feel that way, but because it gave an easy hook for some people to grab onto. As I pointed out in a subsequent correspondence, my money, $3,000 of total campaign contributions to federal and state everywhere across country last year is not a lot of money, even in Vermont. And my money I've given to Senator Campbell, I haven't gone through all my records, but it was maximum $50 per campaign cycle. So this is not anybody buying anything here. It's support in the broader sense. And so I might take that out just so we didn't defocus the discussion.
Mm-hmm.